Hey guys, it's Jack. This is FTMKingdom. It's Thursday, and this week's topic is all about realising that you were trans. So pretty much for me, I didn't really realise that I'm genderless until I was about 19. All throughout my childhood, my mum was buying me guys' clothes. You know, I was skateboarding, playing football, you know, proper tomboy type. But at the same time, I was also doing ballet and dancing, choir. Mainly because my sister, who's 3 years older than me, was doing those things, so I kind of felt like I had to emulate her. Which basically brings me on to when I hit puberty, and kind of felt like I had to be a lot more feminine than I actually am. So, you know, I had longer hair, I used to wear makeup, I used to wear proper girls' clothes, you know, jewellery and all that. Yeah, there's this picture of me when I was probably about 14. And it was school disco, and my older sister dressed me up and did my makeup and everything. So I remember one time my friend picked up the picture, put it next to my face and said, "Hey look, brother and sister." When I was 12, obviously I was still identifying as female and I came out as bisexual. When I was 15 I realised I wasn't attracted to men in the way that most girls are. I was pretty much primarily attracted to women. So I started identifying as a lesbian, and I wasn't just identifying my sexuality label as lesbian. I was kind of, it was more like a social thing, and in the way I dressed, and the way I acted, and you know, I basically had all my hair cut. Well, I had my hair cut quite short. Pretty much fully transitioned my wardrobe from female to male clothing. Started to wear boxers, things like that. I mean, that was all throughout the summer when I was 15. Then when I went to college, when I just turned 16, I was still, you know, I was obviously dressing in guy clothes and, you know, kind of, not really emulating a guy, but, you know, a lot of people did get confused and they'd look at me and be like, "Is that a boy or a girl?" For actually the entire of college, I was completely adamant that I was a girl. And I was just, you know, a butch lesbian. And my friends, I remember a couple of my friends were like, "So obviously you dress in guys' clothes, do you want to be a guy?" And I was like, "Well, no, I'm not a guy. I wasn't, I'm not." I mean, I was like, well, I assumed that you could label me as genderqueer or something, but I just feel like a lesbian. I left college, was working full time. You know, I remember in one of my jobs I was being called ma'am and miss and sometimes sir and things, and those kind of formal pronouns for me made it really weird. Like none of them fitted me. I didn't suit miss, I didn't suit mister, and that was kind of a very confusing time for me. I just didn't really understand why. I just thought it was kind of because they were too formal for me, and I'm not exactly a formal person. Yeah, when I was 19 I had a job interview and I was wearing the same clothes that I'd worn when I identified as female, and around this time I was doing a lot of online kind of, not research, I was just into YouTube, and I was looking at, like, I was subscribed to a couple of FTM YouTube channels. I was at this job interview and I put on my shirt, put my trousers, put my shirt buttoned up, and I remember looking at myself going, "These look weird in this shirt." My chest looked weird in this shirt because obviously it was a guy's shirt. I was like, well, this, you know, that's really strange for me. So pretty much that day or the next day I went online and I got myself a binder. And I started off kind of just wearing around the house and like trying on all my clothes, and I was like, man, this makes my clothes look so much better. And that's kind of what I wanted. And at that same time I was there thinking, I'm very uncomfortable now identifying as female. And the hardest part for me was the fact that I still don't identify as male, I identify as genderless. So for this period of about 3 or 4 months of extreme amounts of anger and depression and self-hatred and all these really, really negative feelings, I was basically trying to box myself into a binary that I didn't feel like I fit into. It was kind of like, well, surely I still have to identify as female because that is how I was born. You know, my mind was working in this crazy kind of, you know, slightly transphobic, I guess, way, and I guess I didn't think that because of the way I was born it was worthy of a different label, if that makes sense, unless it was strictly male. I mean, I just did a lot of stuff online. I was on Tumblr a lot, and it got to, you know, I was desperately trying to grab at these labels that was something that I'm not, and see if they kind of suited me, and it was extremely confusing. And then I can't remember, I think there was just a couple of people, a couple of videos that I saw, and these people weren't identifying as a gender, or they were identifying as bigender, or they had an alternative label than basically the three main labels that I'd heard of, which is obviously male, female, and genderqueer. And that was something that was really comforting for me, and it kind of all clicked for me then, because I was like, well, wait a second, I don't identify as a gender, I never have, and everything about me does not emulate a gender. Before I'd actually heard of things like agender and genderless things, I honestly identified fully as female. Well, the thing is, I didn't really identify as female, I identified as lesbian, I identified as a dyke. And when people used to misgender me, what I thought was misgendering me, or question whether I was a boy or a girl, I'd be like, what? And then now looking back on it, it's kind of strange. Got any questions, put them down there. I've got a personal channel, I've got a Tumblr, and that's pretty much all I use in terms of social networking. And have a good rest of your Thursday. Bye.